I just have to say a couple things. First of all, welcome Holly. The Joanne McMahon is +1 today, and that's wonderful. You know, you can. I've got to know Holly over the last little while, and you can. An apple doesn't fall far from the tree, so I think that Marcia is a very good tree. And as far as Tony goes, well, you can kind of judge the character of a man by the company he keeps, and he's got some very good friends, and we can all tell. And nice to see them all again. Tony's always been a fairly easy person to figure out. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and we're so pleased because we can tell how happy he is. Congratulations, boy.
Okay. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Tony and Holly for putting on such an amazing day for all of us. So much thought and effort and planning was put into an incredible and a perfect day, and perfect it was. I may be a little bit more than biased, but I'm sure I'm not alone when I say Tony is a kind, honest, and has a heart of gold. Tony is someone who I know makes this world a better place, but Holly, she even makes him even better as she brings out the best qualities in Tony. Holly, you're such a warm and loving person, and I felt it from the moment you gave me the first hug. Always made me feel welcome, Holly. There's really not enough words to describe the sense of peace that I feel in my heart now that Tony has found you, Holly. You guys are building a beautiful life together. Tony and Holly, I wish you all the happiness this world has to offer, and take care of each other. Can verify I'm a great grandmother. I love my kids. One more thing to our Uber driver, Dave Ward. Nobody would be at this event if he didn't take 14 trips to the airport. Thank you, Dave.
And next we're going to be calling upon Nick and Natasha, Tony's siblings.
Tony doesn't think that I read his emails, but we did get the 7th revision of the itinerary, so I do know that there's a 5-minute time limit on this speech. Here it is. If it dings, done. All right, so we'd like to start by welcoming our new extended in-laws, the Walker family. You know, coming up in like kind of a culturally mixed family, we seem to definitely make it work, so that I hope for Tony and Holly's sake, we can definitely make this work, even if it's just for tonight. So as for introductions, I'm Nick, Tony's older and up for debate, but better looking brother.
I'm Natasha, Tony's younger and certainly more fun sibling, but that is a fact, it's not up for debate.
There's probably a lot of people in this room that only know Tony from kind of the post-Holly era. And what kind of crappy brother and sister speech would this be if it didn't involve us finding our imaginary DeLorean and taking a look in the past with me and Natasha as your tour guides? Believe it or not, Tony used to be quiet. He has kind of since evolved into an articulate chatterbox who loves nothing more than to make friends over a pint of beer. But that's not the pre-grade 5 Tony. He used to be so quiet that Mom would conveniently forget him in places like on top of the deep freeze. A loud thud 20 minutes later would identify his location, followed by no tears. It's funny how a lack of speaking, making noise, or asking repetitive questions really can determine in the early years how good a child is. I think Tony's plastic character is how he became Mom's favorite child from the early days. When he comes home, we get crepes for breakfast every single day. There's no one else in the world that LJ would make crepes for. Except for maybe Millie. Looking back on it, I can totally understand why Tony was the way he was. He was just enjoying the circus around him that was me and Natasha. My wife and I sometimes, as a relief, do a little like play on songs thing where we substitute our own lyrics into like songs that already exist. So I don't know if you guys know that like Friends song by Marshmello. Is that kind of probably the table's like over here and along the back? You know? Anyways, we sing ANNOYING. That is how you spell kids. So that was Natasha and I. The ultimate example for those of you who have not met my kids, I'm fairly sure that I was just like Millie, who we love so dearly, but never stops. Tony was a little bit more like Rex. Meet them tonight, and I think you'll understand.
Okay, growing up in the footsteps of Nick and Tony was certainly not an easy task. They set the standards quite high for me, actually. Tony excels at everything he does, be it academics, biking, water skiing, or even finding the best hipster food joint. Also, he's exceptionally amazing at encouraging me. He was always there for me when I needed him, and he always told me never to doubt my abilities, and that I could do anything as long as I wanted it enough. However, the best pep talks usually came after our brother-sister tequila shots and on our drunk walks home together, or when he was trying to get me to do something for him. There was a time when Nick and Tony told me that I was excellent at picking up leaves. They even called me Tonka Tash because apparently I was as good as a dump truck. So they would just stand in the yard holding a bag as I picked up all the leaves. This ended when our neighbor kindly bought us a bag stand, so we all could pick up leaves together.
So, it's no secret that particular is probably a pretty fitting adjective for Mr. Tony. In fact, I think that this quality has probably led him to numerous successes in his life. His career as a physician is one example of where his type A personality has gotten him ahead. Locking down Holly is probably another. We're not sure if it was her blonde hair, bright nature, or one of her many other assets. But this truly seemed to be one of those love at first sight type situations. This is a pretty big deal. The same guy used to literally get kicked by his mom under the racks at clothing stores while she uttered curse words because he would take too long to make up his mind about a t-shirt. Jokes aside, what I'm getting at is that Holly and Tony seem to be a perfect match from day one. And for a couple that sends out 7 revisions of a wedding itinerary, one thing was definitely a no-brainer. Holly and Tony are a perfect match. Because I'm better at making people laugh than cry, I'll leave the sappy part to singer-songwriter Jason Mraz. May the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. May the road less paved be the road that you follow. We want you to have it all.
We would like to just end the speech and welcome Holly to our Tracy family. On behalf of the entire Joanna family, we would just like to say, he is your problem now.
And next we're going to have another brother-sister act. We're going to have Ken and Mackenzie come up.
I had maybe one glass of wine too many, so I rely on my paper more than I meant to. Oh, no, it's not. It's not upside down. Okay, hello. For anyone that doesn't know us, we're the Carnes children. I'm Mackenzie, and this is my brother Kenny. And we just wanted to say a few quick words today because we've had the lucky pleasure of knowing both Holly and Tony as amazing individuals, and then I've had the chance to see them grow into the incredibly strong and loving couple they are now. So without any further preamble, I'm going to start with Holly. Our families have been connected to each other through our summer cabin at Point Roberts for at least 3 generations. Our grandmas used to run the show down there together. From ladies' luncheons to traffic speed, they were on it. From these strong roots, our friendships with Holly was almost predetermined or inevitable. Our paths crossed throughout childhood, but it wasn't really until our teenage years that we were able to span the 1-block distance and form the strong connections that I will now treasure for a lifetime. Our friendship mostly started with Holly and Katie trying to turn me from a rough and tumble tomboy into a fashionable preteen girl. Although looking back, I don't think that their choices were all that fashionable. And it seems she's still trying to put me in pink. But nevertheless, over the rest of our high school years, we made too many memories to count down at the cabin, meeting up to ski in the winter, or making trips back and forth between Abbotsford and Tsawwassen. Our summer pal turned into one of our closest friends and confidants. These bonds carried right through into university and beyond, where we always made the effort to spend time together. Our family has always loved Holly and had an open door policy. Our cabin is literally named the Come On In. So we were very used to having our friends come and go at our parents' house. But I distinctly remember the moment that Holly integrated into our family, independent of Kenny and I. We were talking university reading break plans, and I was disappointed that I wouldn't be able to make it down to the lower mainland and visit. When I asked her what her plans were, she said, "I think I'll just head out to the farm in Abbotsford." Confused, I said, "But I won't be there." Her answer, "I know, I'll just go out and hang out with your parents and ride horses." She was in. Holly has added so much to our family, and we are so grateful to know her. Her kindness, consideration, and loyalty have made her the first person I call in many a crisis. Through laughs and tears, highs and lows, we're so lucky to be able to have you in our lives. I once told Tony, back when he was trying to figure out if he should take a chance on the pretty blonde girl down at the Carnes cabin, that you were the best human on the planet. I still stand by those words. He stole my line in his vows, by the way. I've always admired you and how hard you work for everything, and I'm so happy to see you as someone that values you and sees how truly incredible you are. But I'm not in charge of talking about Tony. I should leave that to my brother.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's been tough keeping this short since I've known the bride for over 16 years and the groom for at least a decade now. I first met Tony in first year of university at UNBC in Prince George. Tony was by far one of the most dedicated and hardworking guys that I knew at university. Despite being in almost all of the same classes, our friendship truly began in the cafeteria. Once a week on Thursdays, the cafeteria served Szechuan chicken.
Stir fry.
And I don't think we missed a single day that year. During my time at UNBC, Tony got me out biking, snowboarding, wakeboarding, and much more. When I told him I was moving to Williams Lake for a co-op position, Tony insisted I buy a bike, a mountain bike. I think it was my second or third day biking that I followed Tony, Kevin, and Graham down Dragon Mountain. Needless to say, these guys flew down the mountain while I flew over my handlebars. I had to learn quick if I was going to keep up with these guys. During my years at UNBC and after, Tony and his family always welcomed me into theirs. Tony would always keep in touch even when our lives took us in different directions. Tony was always finds time to help people out, like my sister with her med school application. Despite his own busy life. He has been a great friend over the years, and I have seen how happy he makes Holly. Over the last several years, I've watched Tony fall head over heels for Holly, and I've watched the two of them navigate challenges such as distance with ease while he completes his residency in Vancouver. I'm so happy that the two of you have been able to build a home together, a little paradise here in Victoria, for when you're not off traveling the world together. You two are perfect for each other, and for that I couldn't be more happy to see my two oldest friends getting married today. Congratulations. I wish you guys a lifetime of happiness.
So as you can see, we think very highly of you. We're not done 5 minutes. Watch out, Father. We know, we timed ourselves. As you can see, we think very highly of these two as individuals, and together, they're even more of an unstoppable force. Both Holly and Tony are incredibly generous humans that have helped and supported me many a time on my journey through life and during my convoluted path to med school. And now, these kind humans have a home of their own, with their own open door policy, which led them to invite a homeless student, me, to crash their last semester. During that time, and really every time I see you two together, I feel lucky to be able to witness how you support and encourage each other to chase new adventures, pursue goals, and have an overwhelmingly positive impact on the world around you. I can't wait to see what you guys get up to next. I just want to say cheers to the newly married Jawalkers. I think you should have still gone with that option. Cheers!
Okay, and next we're going to have Ben and Jordan, Tony's medical school buds, come up and speak.
Okay, thank you. So for those of you that don't know us, my name is Jordan. This is Ben. And as alluded to, we met Tony in medical school. That was a while ago now. Lots has happened between then and now, but we still had a bit of a hard time thinking about what to say today. So we met up over Skype. We lived Vancouver, Edmonton, so we met a bunch of times on Skype and trying to figure it out. And we realized that when the three of us get together, it's actually usually Tony that does all the talking. But once we got over that, we may have met in medical school, but we all heard in Holly's vows today, actually, that Silver Star is quite a special place. And for Tony and us, it's a special place for us too, because while we may have met in medical school, our friendship really was born on the ski hill at Silver Star. So in true Tony fashion, without really knowing us at all, invited us up to his place at Silver Star. And for the skiers in the room, it was one of those weekends that you dream about as a skier. It was a long weekend, it snowed for 4 days, literally non-stop. And every morning, we would sit around and check the snow report and have one of those kind of unintentional competitions of who could say the word epic the most times before breakfast was over. And then we proceeded to go out and we skied hard. We skied first chair to last chair every single day. And we had a really great thing going. And then in the usual fashion, after a good ski day, we'd cap it off with one or maybe several beers in the hot tub. And while the number of beers consumed may be a bit fuzzy, there was a few things that became very clear about Tony.
So as you all know, Tony, his ability to enjoy life is boundless. He's always keen for a new adventure, excited to learn something new, see a new place, make a new friend, or maybe a few hundred over those beers we heard about earlier. Near the end of that ski trip, after several phenomenal days of skiing, a few extra hot tub rehydration sessions, Tony was literally crawling up the stairs in the morning in his long johns. But after hearing that it had dumped snow again overnight, all he said was, "Let's me a coffee and let's get after it." He said exactly what we all needed to hear. And it's this attitude that makes Tony not only easy to love, but makes every activity and everyone around him better. At the rate we've been all talking about Tony in a positive fashion tonight, he's going to have to buy a few larger hats, but he really is such a thoughtful friend. Despite all of us graduating from the same medical school in different campuses around the province, Jordan and I both received a handcrafted pen and coasters from Tony. Fast forward a few years later, just a few weeks ago, Tony and Holly invited me over for dinner. You would think that maybe 2 weeks before the wedding, that might be a little too much effort. And just before they invited me over, they were going to do a little staycation at the Oak Bay Beach Hotel. En route to the hotel, Tony made an emergency stop for some steaks at the butcher. One might think these might be for the bride-to-be. No, of course not. Tony proceeded to season them in the Oak Bay Beach Hotel bathroom just to make sure they had enough time to soak up the seasoning before our dinner. Those are some of the best steaks that I've had. It's this thoughtfulness that makes Tony so amazing. He always is going the extra mile.
Now Holly, you look amazing today. Start with that. For Ben and I, we're still really getting to know you. But as we've heard so many times tonight, it's very clear that you two are perfect for each other. And for us, being able to see how happy you made Tony, that means everything to us, and it's really all we could ever ask for.
Well, actually, one other thing. Holly, please always allow him to come on ski trips with us.
So next we're going to have Courtney giving our, and then we're going to have a 5-minute break.
My name's Courtney. For those of you who don't know, I'm one of Tony's oldest friends. We've known each other since elementary school, but our friendship really flourished near the end of high school. We both discovered that we had something really in common. We were both emos. Right? Chuck Taylors, swoop cycling, John Lennon loving emos. We knew we didn't exactly fit in, but we fit in with each other. The funny thing about the term emo though is that it actually is shorthand for the word emotional, with the irony being that Tony was never really known to be that emotional back in those days, especially about the sappy stuff, like love. He was always really caring and devoted, but he definitely approached love with a more methodical and logical perspective than most. It's these qualities, though, that have contributed to the person he is today, a truly exceptional human, as evidenced by so many things, but of course by your chosen path, helping others in need. I'm sure we can all attest to some stories where Tony's always putting other people before himself. A couple of weekends ago, I was in Stanley Park at the Scoopin Music Festival, and for those of you who haven't heard, there was an outbreak of measles. And it was all over Facebook and all over the news, but of course I found out through a very thoughtful and caring text message alerting me that I needed to ensure that I had not just one, but 2 immunizations against the disease. The text message was from none other than my very thoughtful, very caring, very intelligent friend, Dr. Joanda. And if you're wondering which Dr. Joanda I'm referring to, that one there next to the beautiful bride. I know that Holly shares all of these amazing qualities as well. Her and I have only met a handful of times, so the fact that I'm in the bridal party just speaks to your incredible character, your thoughtfulness, and above all, your depth of love for Tony. Tony has always had a place in his heart for everyone that he encounters, but I didn't realize how profound this could be until he met Holly. I knew she was the one because he was no longer following his logic. The emotional side had taken over. Tony and Holly, you both radiate the light of love, thoughtfulness, and equality. And I know that together you'll be a supernova.
So we're going to have another break for 5 minutes, and then we'll continue on with the speeches. So